Welcome everybody, today we're back with another video of what if Europe recolonized Africa again. So, the countries that will be participating in this colonization is firstly, of course, will be France, because they had colonies in Europe. Next country will be Britain, of course Britain, because Britain had colonies in Europe. The next country would be Italy, because they had colonies in Europe. The next one would be Spain, because they had colonies in Europe. I kept saying Europe. I meant Africa. The next country would be Portugal, which had colonies in Africa, not Europe, Africa. The next country would be Germany, and also Netherlands, I guess you can say. Nah, not Netherlands or Belgium. But Poland will also be getting colonies. Yes, Poland. And I don't think Russia or Turkey should get any colonies because, okay, let me just fix this. So, yeah, and not Turkey as well. I mean, I'll probably give them colonies if they were mainly in Europe, but now they're mainly in Asia. So, I think the first one we should go with is Britain over here. Of course, a lot of colonies. Yes, a lot of countries. The first thing the Britain will do, so this is a color, would go for Ghana and unite with Togo and make Ghana unite with Togo like in real life. If you saw my British Empire video, you would see why. And also, Nigeria would be another colony for Britain, like it used to be. But they will get more new colonies like Ivory Coast and Liberia. But Benin would not be like a colony. Like, it'll just be a puppet. That wouldn't make sense. The next country, instead of over there, and will be Malawi, which would be another colony. Zimbabwe, South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini. Now, with Lesotho and Eswatini, they would unite with South Africa over here. And they would also have Namibia. So, Britain, and they would also have Republic of the Congo. So, Britain has some colonies. Actually, I should have got Egypt in this, and Sudan, South Sudan. Unite this into one country. South Sudan and Sudan as a colony. And the last country they will go for is Djibouti. Now this is what it's looking like now. Now the next country, France, would be Angola. Actually, not Angola, Botswana, Madagascar, like in real life, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, and Chad. They would also have Senegal and Benin. Now, compared to Britain, I might give Britain more colonies like Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia. This is really making me angry. I do not want this here. There we go. Now that's better. So, now, compared to Britain and France, they got a lot of colonies. I'll give Cameroon to Britain. They have lots of colonies, but the rest of them have to also be split up. The next one will be Italy, and I gave France Libya. Libya would be next, same as Somalia and Eritrea. Now this time Ethiopia will be colonized. Yeah, if this is real life, then that wouldn't happen. And also Guinea as well, because, why not? So the next country would be Spain. And what they would go for, not that much. They would go for Equatorial Guinea, right? And Sao Tome and Principe. And also Cabo Verde. Or Cape Verde, whatever you want to say. It will go for this island over here. As well as Uganda, Burundi, and Rwanda. And that's pretty much it. Now for Germany, or that's not Germany, Germany, right? They would get Gabon, Zambia, Kenya, Tanzania, and Central African Republic. And of course, yes, Portugal. We forgot about Portugal. Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Mozambique, like their old colonies. And the only country Poland will get is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, this is what Europe is. This is what Africa looks like now. And yes, it was only 5 minutes. That we were choosing colonies fairly quickly. And now this is what Europe looks, or Asia looks. Oh my gosh. I mean, Africa. I don't really talk about Africa in my videos. So, Poland has the least amount of colonies, with only the Democratic Republic of the Congo, like Belgium. But Belgium is not doing it this time. You know what happened. So, Comoros, Mauritius, and Seychelles, they would all go to, Comoros would go to Spain, and the rest would go to Britain. I just didn't want to color them in. I'm too lazy. So, yeah. Now, a war would break out because of these awful borders. Somalia won't sink. The first one will be Djibouti, because Djibouti is surrounded by Italian colonies. And Djibouti will be pretty quickly, annexed, insta. So that would go to Ethiopia instead. So Djibouti wouldn't really be a colony. And Benin, yeah, the French Benin would now be a colony, because, well, it really wouldn't survive around these, Britain nations. Same with Guinea and Guinea-Bissau. Actually, Guinea-Bissau would probably go to the French instead. And the Gambia. Now, after those two annexations, the Portuguese don't really care instead. Because another thing has just happened. Because now they only care about this panhandle for Namibia for Angola. Now, since, well, yeah, this is a big problem, because this panhandle right here, as you see, I'm circling it really poorly, and yeah, like that. Angola really wants this panhandle to split up, where's my black? Right, something like this. They want this panhandle, but that's not gonna get into the way. 'Cause then Botswana from the French want this panhandle. But of course they get annexed immediately from, well, that. And there will be a new South African Union. In real life or in history. Namibia and South Africa were a thing. Now it's gonna be Botswana and South Africa. Zimbabwe will still be a thing, or Rhodesia you can call it. But Angola wants this panhandle. Or Portugal wants this panhandle, because it's not really Angola controlling it. Because, well, does that make sense? So instead, they fight for it. But then after a while, they get a peace treaty, giving this panhandle to Angola so they can finally stop the Portuguese-Britain War. The Portuguese-British War. So this will go to Angola, or Portugal. And now Angola has this Namibian panhandle, which is way more better. I really don't like the panhandle on Namibia. I don't know who made those borders, but it's fine. Now, for purple, who's purple? Spain. Yeah, Spain, of course. Now, Spain wants to deal with Germany. They want the Central African Republic, well, as their colony. Britain, of course, Germany says no, but they realize, hey, we have Kenya, Tanzania, and Zambia. Those are pretty big, and Gabon as well. Why does this give it to the Spanish? And they, of course, accept this deal of giving Central African Republic to the Spanish. So now over here in, well, France, you can say, it's not looking pretty at all, because, well, Libya is surrounded by Britain and France. Of course, Libya is an Italian colony, and Italy does not want Libya to go to the French, because, well, they don't really want to. But of course, the French don't say anything, but the British do. Like in real life, Egypt, or British Egypt, or whatever, were they independent? I have no idea. Are fighting a war, including British Sudan. Now, British Sudan don't really care. They only want, literally only want is this. So just to get their butts, Italy just wants Britain, Sudan, butts out of them. They just give them it. So now Sudan or British Sudan, whatever you want to call it, has now this colony over or area. Not a colony, it's an area. That just looks way worse, but I guess they wanted it. Now Libya, Italian Libya, doesn't really like it. I mean, well, they're under one government anyways, and that's the Italian government. And who the Italian government is. But, of course, Egypt is not going to let this slide anyways and want to declare war on, well, Libya over here. Anyways, remind you, Libya is not a British colony and just going to war. Actually, we can switch those around and just make Britain just do whatever they want, and of course they win. Because, well, according to real life, of course Britain would win. Because that's just a stupid argument if they don't. Because, well, pretty makes sense. It does make sense anyways. But they don't want to unite, so they just make Libya into their colony. And, of course, Italy is fuming. They're fuming right now and want more colonies. Because, well, apparently Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea are not enough. I mean, getting Ethiopia is already one big thing. But they want even more. They want more. So what they do is get some deals with the French. Take over Corsica, which is not Africa, but they want Corsica, and Tunisia, Senegal, and the Gambia, as well as Guinea-Bissau. Since those colonies weren't really that major, same as Mauritania, Mali, and that's pretty much it. Probably not Mali, but something like Niger? Nah, that doesn't make sense. But the biggest thing they would give is Morocco. Morocco is now under Italian control. Sorry, Algeria, you're not going to be part of this. That is bad. Now, France just realized, oh my gosh, we just gave a lot of land to the Italians and we want them back. And the Italians said, no, you already gave us a deal. So what happens? War happens. So what happens is France declares war in Italy, just not in Europe, just in Africa. And they take over Tunisia. Now, what's going to happen with this new colony or thing, whatever this thing is? They're going to unite. What they want is Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia united. That's what they want. So they declare war on Mauritania and Morocco. Mauritania was pretty easy to get because Mauritania was just a new colony for Italy. But of course, Italy really wants Morocco. They really want to keep Morocco. Well, in the war, the Portuguese says, you know what? I don't give a hell what's happening right now. We just want Guinea-Bissau back. Now, they landed Guinea-Bissau and just claimed the land again without any peace treaty or whatever, and the Gambia as well. Well, the French take over the British take over Senegal, as well as the Gambia, because, well, the Gambia isn't really going to escape this, so they're just going to get annexed by, well, Britain. Now, Britain over here is dominant, like, this part of Africa over here, like, if you want to circle this part of Africa is dominated by the United Kingdom. Except for this one Guinea-Bissau land area by Portugal, which we could just easily do that. That would be an easy edit. We could just... So if Guinea-Bissau is like this, then yeah, of course it's going to be dominant, but it's not, because Portugal really wants Guinea-Bissau for some apparent reason. But you know what? It's fine. I respect it. So, well, a lot of fighting. France is easily bigger after all. Now, what happens next? Right, what really happens next is Western Sahara. Now, Western Sahara used to be a Spanish colony, Spanish Sahara. But now it's part of Morocco. Or you could say it's independent, but I don't know. Should we make it independent? So now what happens is new land. Wow, new land. Oh my gosh, new land. Yes, new land, guys. New land. We all love new land. If you're government. The rest of Morocco unites with Algeria and Tunisia, whatever. And this would happen. The civil war would break out if this really happened in 6 hours. I don't know what happened here with the United Kingdom and Chad, but they just claimed the toilet. I'm joking, but so Western Sahara is now, well, if you guys guessed, it was going to be Spanish, but yeah, you're correct, guys. Yeah, Spanish quickly catched on and gets Western Sahara. on their side, like it used to be. The good old days. That were not good old days. I am really messing up right here. So, like, really. So, lots of countries now want independence. For example, Seychelles, Comoros, Mauritius. What is happening here? I do not want to make the sea purple. I have no idea what I just did. Yeah, but this is not so. What the heck just happened, bro? I did not do this. Okay. This video is already in a mess. It's fine. It's not fine, actually. So what happens now is Madagascar was the first country to ask for independence, and guess what? They accept. Of course, the French didn't want Madagascar to go, but Madagascar, either way, goes anyways, because, well, they wanted to. Now they have their own government, and no other nations can colonize this country anymore. Seychelles, Comoros, Mauritius will be the next countries. I just don't have them colored in. I just don't have it colored in. And Sao Tome and Principe will also be the next country to be independent. Now, the reason why these small countries are getting independent earlier than the bigger countries is because these are very small nations. They don't care. And the next country that will be independent is Cabo Verde. Yes, Cabo Verde. Or Cabo Verde or Cape Verde, whatever you want to say. So Cabo Verde will be a country again because, well, they wanted to. And now, these small nations have now gone independent. Well, except for, I don't know why Western Sahara is not purple, but it should be purple because it's Spanish territory. Stupid. So, what happens now is Germany, right here. Germany doesn't really care about these colonies anymore and leaves this group. What happens now is Gabon, Kenya, Tanzania, and Zambia have now become independent. And after a while, Poland also leaves this, so Democratic Republic of the Congo has now just became independent. Rwanda and Burundi become independent, just barely holding on to the Spanish, and Uganda as well. Equatorial Guinea will also be independent. And funnily enough, the colony they got the latest is Central African Republic, holds on the longest, and they still don't get independent from the Spanish. The next country to get independent would be Eritrea and Sudan. Now, Sudan will still have South Sudan like they usually did until 2011, and this colony from Libya. Speaking of Libya, Libya will be the next one independent, following with Spanish Sahara. Now, in this reality, the Spanish Sahara would become an original country and independent. Now, Portugal really doesn't care about their colonies anymore and leaves this group. So, Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Mozambique now have become independent. All these countries in Northern Africa want to become independent. Like Malawi, which does work either way, and Zimbabwe. Namibia becomes independent, following with South Africa. Now, South Africa will still have Eswatini and Lesotho, and, well, Botswana, since they all united into one country before. Central African Republic will be next, and the Republic of the Congo. The next country will be Ethiopia and Somalia. So Italy has officially lost all of their colonies, so they will be out of this group as well. Still having Corsica. And now all these other countries will be still independent and are relied on this. I don't know why Spain is still colored in, but they should not be colored in because they just left. They just lost all their colonies by independent or treaties, I guess. So what happens next is Egypt, of course, and Senegal and the Gambia. Since they weren't originally colonies from Britain, but they just took over. Same with Guinea. They used to be an Italian colony. Right, that was random. I should have done, like, Spanish. That would make more sense. And Cameroon. Same with Mali being next. And Chad. Now, this right here. Algeria, Morocco, and the Tunisian Union or whatever still is under French control. Because, well, France really wants to hold on this colony. So Niger and Mauritania become independent later on. But France still has a colony, which is this. This right here. In French Guiana, if you really want to count it. But we don't care about French Guiana, we're caring about Africa. Now, Britain still has these colonies over here. Nigeria will be the next one independent. Same with Burkina Faso, Benin, and Sierra Leone. So Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Togo or Liberia are still under British. So Liberia would be next. Now the only countries that aren't independent right now in Africa is here in the Algerian Union and Ghana and Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, but they would call it Ivory Coast since it was a British colony now. So Ivory Coast will be next, and following with Ghana. So that means Britain is out of control from colonies now, and they will not be part of this anymore. And France just has this. But funnily enough, in 2011, just pretend it was a long time ago. Just pretend. This union will be again, I'm an idiot somewhere. They would just be independent. Forget about 2011. And France would finally be not part of this. Somehow that took 20 minutes when the colonization was only 5 minutes. Funnily enough. So I'll see you next time.